Hello. Today we're going to talk about background, middle ground, and foreground. We're going to divide up our picture into those key areas. So everyone's going to need, to get started, a piece of paper and a pencil. Now Mrs. Fain's going to be drawing with marker so you can see it better on the video. But I want you to be drawing in pencil at home, therefore you can erase if you make a mistake. So you'll have your paper horizontal to start this project. And what I want you to do is we're going to create our horizon line, but we're going to do it a little differently. This time we're going to use hills. So we're going to draw 3 half circles in the middle halfway down our paper. Then you're going to draw another hill, a bigger one in the front, and even another one on the corner there. This is dividing up our landscape into different areas. Okay. Our background is up in the sky here, and our hill way in the back shows distance. We're creating distance in our picture, making it look like you could go into it by doing this. So this is kind of our first layer. It's our background layer. Now, our middle ground, we are going to have some trees. So how do we draw a Christmas tree? So we're going to, Christmas trees are kind of triangular. So we don't need to be real fancy here. We're just going to draw a triangle. Now, the larger you draw that triangle, the more in the foreground, the closer up to the viewer it's going to look like it is. The smaller we draw that tree, the further away it's going to look. So if I come back here and I draw a real tiny triangle, okay, that tree is going to be in the distance. It is going to be closer to the background. The larger I draw, if I draw one up here real big, okay, that is in my foreground. That is in the front of my picture. So now we've created distance just by adding a small tree in the background, a middle ground with a medium-sized tree, and a foreground with a focal point, a big tree in the front. Now you can add even more trees if you'd like. You can have fun with it, make them different kind of size triangles. Notice I'm drawing just a little square at the bottom of the trees. Now, if I want something to be in front of something else, it has to overlap. So we'll overlap them. So if I have a tree in here, it can overlap my tree in the background. That is okay. Like I said, you guys should be using pencils so you can come back in, and if a tree is in front, you would erase, making it disappear into the background. All right, so yours is, so your tree is going to look like this. Notice I went and redrew it so you don't see any lines behind my tree. So it looks like it has overlapping. You're overlapping the hills with the trees, showing what is in front and what is behind, creating that sense of distance again, and creating that middle ground, foreground, and background. Now, in our sky, we can do some fun things. We can create a moon. So this is going to give us our sense of where the light is coming from. So this is going to be a nighttime picture. We want our hills to have a little bit of like snow, so we'll leave them kind of white. Our trees, it's Christmas is coming soon, right? So we can make them a little Christmassy. So we can draw a star on the top of our tree if we want. Or if you want to draw like a circle, that would look neat. in our tree, we can add some decorations. So you can add circles for garland. You could add just a circle with a little hook for an ornament. This is where I'm gonna let you be a little bit creative, but remember, boys and girls, we don't wanna get sloppy. So notice I'm being precise. I've kind of thought about what I want to look. I'm making a zigzag pattern. So make a zigzag pattern in your tree going up and down. Notice I'm also rounding the bottoms. That makes it look more realistic. If you don't want to add the decoration, you can just make your trees green, or you can add them different colors. Okay, in the sky, so now we're going to talk about coloring this. So once you've added your details, I'm just going to add stripes here. If you want to copy me, I don't mind that. It's a good way for young artists to learn this by copying someone else, so you see where they would put their lines. Just trying to break up the trees and make them each a little bit different. Because just like how no two humans are the same, I don't believe any two trees are the same. So I like a little variety in my artwork. So I'm gonna have just a small circle there. Here I'm gonna have a little bit bigger circle. Here I'm gonna put another star. So I'm just going in, I'm decorating. Here I'm just gonna use dots. So I'm using different ways of making line on my tree. And we've talked a lot about line. So hopefully you have a good idea of how to use lines on your, oh, that's a little big, but that's okay. We all can do that occasionally. All right, so now I have all my trees, different styles. So like I said, now we're gonna talk about color. Okay, so to color, we're just gonna use crayons for this project. So I hope you all have some crayons at home that we can use. Now for my sky, notice I have an unwrapped crayon. It's a really cool technique, is to just push the crayon on its side and rub. Notice I am not going into my trees. I'm staying around my trees. I'm not going into them. And I am just rubbing that crayon to get a base coat of color in my sky. I'm not going in my moon. Remember, I wanted to keep that light. Now I'm not only using one color blue crayon. I want to mix blues. I don't want all the same blue in my sky. I need to mix those colors to get a more realistic, nice nighttime effect. So this is just for my background. I'm just kind of using the side of my crayon unwrapped. Okay, so now I can come back in. I want the base a little bit darker. So now I'm not using the side of my crayon anymore. Now I'm coming in and I'm coloring, and I'm starting at those creases because I want where those lines meet, those edges of the hills, to be some of my darker areas. So notice I'm just going over those, pressing a little harder. I'm not scribbling, I'm coloring nice and evenly. And again, I'm not going into those trees. So you have to have patience. Good art takes time and patience. So we can't rush it. We have to just slow down, take our time, know where our hand is, know where that tip of the edge of the crayon is, so we can not go into our trees and just take our time as we come up. You want to go right up to that line though. You don't want to leave a white gap by your tree though, because that looks like you don't have good control over your material. So you do want to make sure you're going up to them then. Now in my corners, I can add a little haze. So on my upper corners now, I'm gonna add a different color. Now I'm gonna add a purple. And again, I'm not using the side of the crayon. It's not unwrapped, it's just that, and I'm just coloring the corner. And again, if you want to have more value, you can press a little bit harder and make it go to softer. But I'm just doing that on the edge of the paper. Notice I'm moving my whole arm when I color, not just my wrist. This is a big skill for beginner artists to understand. When you want to get even, smooth coloring, you can't just move your wrist because your wrist will curve and it'll give you actual uneven lines. So we need to move our whole arm to get that evenness in our artwork and to get it nice and smooth, have better craftsmanship. Now when I'm doing little corner areas, yes, obviously I'm not moving my whole arm because that's a tinier area. But when I'm working with bigger space, I need to color a larger area. I need to make sure I'm moving my whole arm. Now notice I did color up and down there. Now I'm coming back in, coloring sideways. We always see the sky horizontally. So we always want to color the sky horizontally because humans crave to see it that way because that's how we process it in our brains. We see it horizontally. So you want to make sure when you're coloring a sky, you want it to look a little bit more realistic, that you're coloring it side to side and not up and down. You can color it up and down, but then it might look like a storm or it's raining, and I want more of a calm look. So again, I come back in the corners. I do want that to blend in just a little bit of purple again. Layering those colors is really important to get a blend in your artwork. Okay, so now I'm gonna come into my trees. So now my trees, I want them green. Remember, I said I want to leave my landscape white because I want it to look like it's winter and it's snow on the ground. So I'm leaving the hills white, but I'm going to come into my trees and I'm going to color them because I want them to stand out. And I'm going to color them nice and green. Notice I'm staying in the lines. I'm coloring the same direction, nice and evenly, just taking my time. For this project, when I'm coloring my trees, I think it's okay if I leave just a little bit of white showing through. Why do you think that is? The reason for that is because, again, snow. Snow is white. So if I want to leave a little bit of white on my trees, it's going to look like some snow stayed there from, the last snowfall. Okay. You can also blend the green on your trees as well. I haven't done that yet because I'm still coloring them, but it's okay to blend the colors. As long as you're staying within the green family. You don't want to, I guess you could. Art is awesome. You could do whatever you want. If you want to have colorful trees in all different colors, you can do whatever you want. It's your artistic design. So don't let me limit you. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get myself in a box and I don't want to be in that box. So art is about having fun and being creative. So I'm going to add a little yellow into my trees because yellow and blue make green. So I think it'll blend nicely. But like I said, you can add whatever colors you like. Okay. But definitely blending colors really adds a cool effect to your trees. Now, the light source is on the right. It's coming from the moon. So I can come in on the opposite side and I could add my darker color because it's going to act a little bit like a shadow. And I'm doing it with a blue. Okay. Now, talking about a shadow. Your trees, if you have a light source coming, could cast a shadow. So coming to the opposite side. So if your moon's over there, you're going to cast your shadow to the opposite side, left side. So on a diagonal, you could cast a shadow in the shape of your tree. So if your tree is a triangle, your shadow would be in the shape of a triangle. So I start with my little tree trunks, which is that rectangle I drew at the base. And then I draw a little, and if your tree is little, it'd be a little shadow. If your tree is bigger, obviously it'd be a longer shadow. But now you're adding a light source, and if you have a hill, then it would block into the hill. I'm just gonna add a light sense of blue to add a little icy snow effect on those hills. And then I'm gonna add a little yellow to my moon on the bottom side there to add a little effect there. Now you can come back in, you can color your garland trees, you can color your ornaments, you can decorate your picture how you like it. But that is how you would draw a Christmas tree landscape. I would use a brown. Personally, I like to use brown for my tree trunks. I could add yellow in my stars if I want. Forgot to add something here, so I'm gonna just do that here. I'm just gonna do that as well. I could add pink on these if I want. Like I said, you can add whatever colors you want to your tree. You can blend colors. This is where you get to be creative and unique. If you want to add more ornaments to your tree or something. And now you have a winter nighttime-ish landscape.